Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. We'll just wait for all the customers to, all our angels to come in gradually over the next minute. Welcome to this evening's September event. Very excited to be here. This is our fifth installment of September. It's our fifth session, and we'll just let the angels come in. Welcome on Zoom and Facebook Live. Very happy to have you along for the ride. Okay, lots of people leaving hellos and welcomes in the chat. As ever, the chat, please use freely to say hi to each other. Tell everyone what you're drinking. It's a very sociable evening. So, well, welcome everybody. As I say, it's the fifth installment of our September series of events. We've got a sparkling lineup for you tonight. Very excited to have along two naked, sparkling members of Naked's royal family, if you like. It's Paolo Sacchetto and Francois Lieubeau. Welcome, gentlemen. Paolo from the Veneto in Italy and Francois from Muscadet in northern France. Welcome. It's great to have you along. Thank you, angels, for being here tonight. I realize we're competing with a new series of the Great British Bake Off. I probably shouldn't have told you that, because all of our viewers have now realized that it's on, and they're probably ending this call now and going off to watch it on television. But you can watch that on catch up. Stick with us. We've got a really exciting evening talking all things sparkling wine with two of our favorite winemakers, sparkling winemakers in the Naked family, Paolo and Francois. I think, well, shortly I'll hand over to Paolo and Francois to talk about where they're from, their styles of sparkling wine, their history, their background. But I think first it's just worth talking some basics with you guys. As we go along, if you have any questions for Paolo or Francois, please leave them in the Q&A section. You see a little button, Q&A. Leave your questions there. Don't leave them in the chat. Feel free to chat to each other. Tell us what you're drinking. Tell us if you're fans of Paolo and Francois's wine, you've tasted them before. But leave all of your specific questions in the Q&A, and we'll leave plenty of time at the end to answer those questions. All things sparkling wine. Let's just talk basics for a second. Sparkling wine can be a confusing but exciting, wide world. So if you don't know your champagne from your cava, or your cremant, your prosecco from your pet nat, we're here to answer all of your burning questions. Essentially, sparkling wine, as we all know, wine with bubbles in it. You can get those bubbles from basically two ways. You either carbonate the wine, effectively like putting the wine in a giant soda stream, or you get the bubbles from yeast, re-fermenting and creating carbon dioxide in the wine. And that's what makes the bubbles. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, the sort of quality end of sparkling wine production. And really that yeast making the carbon dioxide in the wine could either happen in a tank and then transferred to bottle, or it can happen in the bottle. And there are a variety of styles, and Paolo and Francois will talk a bit more specifically about the styles of production they use for their winemaking shortly. But I guess method champenoise, the champagne method, is probably the most famous. It's widely regarded perhaps as the first, having been supposedly invented by the French monk Dom Perignon in the 17th century. However, there were some styles of sparkling wine some 200 or so before, particularly around the town of Lieubeau and actually the Brits invented a style of sparkling wine sometime before the famous French monk. So there's a couple of bits of info for you there. But that's the sort of frame of it. But we're going to talk now to Paolo first, and talk a bit more about Prosecco, and where Paolo, welcome, great to have you here. How are you? Where are you at the moment? You're in the winery.
Ciao, Matt. Thanks a lot for the presentation, for the nice first explanation about the sparkling wine, Charmat Champenoise. And I would like to give a big thanks to the all Angels and Naked team that permitted to be here to drink a glass of Prosecco and to stay together. Sorry. And we are from Veneto region, northeast, where Venice is. So all Prosecco, I'd like to mark two things. One was said by Matt, that is Prosecco is not carbonated. There is not permitted to add any CO2, but is a re-fermentation wine, as champagne, crema, but with a different method, Charmat. Why Charmat and not Champenoise? Because Glera is aromatic, semi-aromatic grapes. The acidity is not so huge. The structure is not like a Chardonnay grapes or Pinot Noir. And it is the best way to emphasize the fruity bouquet, the fruitiness inside. We said to mark the profumi primari, the first bouquet. So when you drink a glass Prosecco, it's easy to get apple, lemon, not yeast, vanilla, as in Champenoise method. The yeast are not must not be dominant on the wine. Where we are, Veneto, the DOC area is take close to the Padova, Venice, Treviso, the DOC, the big one that you can taste in mine called the Lutia Prosecco Brut, black label. But inside the big DOC area, there is a smaller DOCG. There is this DOCG Valdobbiadene, the most famous, but inside that there is even a Asolo, not so famous like Valdobbiadene. And both of them are in the hill zone just before the Dolomites. So it's important for all the aromatic grapes to get a good gap in the temperature between day and the night, to mark, to get the right fruity from
freshness.
And
yeah. So, hey Paolo, I've got a map of that region. Do you want me to skip to that map, or do you just
show the map, please? So we
just, I think that's if for Angels, if you don't know where Prosecco is, and I'm sure you all do, it's in this area, the north of Italy.
All Prosecco is only from this area. The DOC is bigger. Inside the big area, there is the smaller green one that is the yellow, sorry, is smaller, the Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore, DOCG. G means garantita, where for
it's
sure,
a higher level of, it's a higher level of quality.
Different area is even the production, the yield per hectare is much lower, even 30% lower. So where we produce our called the Lutia DOCG organic. We have is organic grape. So as I said, we are very close to the Dolomite. Yes, in the hills.
There you go.
Yeah, here is my new winery dedicated to this. So around we have about 18 hectares, all Glera, because the name of the grapes is this semi-aromatic grapes is Glera. So Glera in this area can have the appellation DOCG. Glera in Treviso or close to Venice, but out from this area, these hills, can have the DOC. But for
The
example,
lower level of quality. Yeah.
If you have glera in Verona, cannot be Prosecco, but only glera. So Prosecco is a specific in this area, is an area because you have Champagne, Chianti is a zone. Why Charmat and not Champenoise, for example? As I said, the structure, the acidity of this grape, there is some, we tried in the past to get Champenoise longer fermentation, but we cover the real characteristic of Prosecco, so didn't work very much. So the best way is Charmat, shorter method in this autoclave, in this pressure tank that permitted to get that we have they are refrigerated tank that we can play with the temperature. When starts the re-fermentation, we active the yeast, increasing at 13 Celsius degrees the temperature inside the tank, and after the process of the fermentation, when we want to stop, we give a thermic stress, decreasing in 8-10 hours the temperature to -2. In this way, we stop the fermentation.
Okay.
So after that,
when it's almost dry. Yeah. So you can stop it with different ways through the fermentation. Yes. Is it worth just telling our angels exactly the sort of the Charmat method and exactly how the wine is made, is given its sparkle in this process?
Yes, you have after the harvest, you have the fermentation, the first fermentation. In fact, in this area, there is even Prosecco DOC still, but it's not so famous. And Prosecco is much more famous as frizzante or spumante. Frizzante, right. Yes, there is a difference between frizzante and spumante. Is only in the second fermentation. So first fermentation, you have the still wine Prosecco DOC. To active the second fermentation, as I said, we add yeast, selected yeast, in this special autoclave, this special pressure tank, when we can we act the yeast, increase the temperature. If we want a frizzante, all frizzante is a wine with less than 3 bar inside the pressure, and the spumante or sparkling, that you know, is a wine that must have more than 3 bar inside at 20 Celsius degrees. So the difference is only when we want a frizzante, we add less sugar, and we have a shorter fermentation, much shorter. Spumante is a longer fermentation, and for even other region, because we have a different structure of the basis of the wine, we keep a little bit longer in touch with the yeast. But once again, we don't leave too long, because the yeast flower must be not dominant, must be not, they cannot, it's important that they don't cover the first fruity flower. When the wine yes.
So Paolo, sorry, the second fermentation, how many days does that go on for usually? It's sort of how long? It's a short time in general, isn't it?
Short time means that all the process is about 60 days. All.
Okay, from start to finish. Yeah.
Including 10 days, 2 weeks, the contact of the wine, the fizzy wine at the end with the yeast. The process, fermentation process, can be even is 30 days for spumante and 25, for example, for frizzante. So it's
so frizzante, lower pressure, lightly sparkling, spumante, fully sparkling, 3 bars of pressure, Champagne is about the same, 3 bars of pressure, or maybe a bit
No,
more.
a spumante is at least 3. Ours has a 5.5, for example, depends.
Okay, yeah.
But it's the law that all the wines with
minimum
champagne
3
can have a 6, maybe even more than Prosecco. Prosecco, we try to keep it between 5.5 and 6 bar usually.
Okay.
And,
interesting.
For sure, the small fine bubble means that you can find the glass, means that the fermentation got the right time in the tank, was not, we say, too fast, and so it's very easy, very fine, and the first glass and the tasting, that is very important. The basis of the wine and the right time in the fermentation.
Yeah, because that's one of the characteristics of Prosecco, isn't it? Very fine, tiny bubbles, and lots of them. And I guess that comes from a cool temperature in secondary fermentation, a big tank, a big vessel, and the right amount of time for it to allow those bubbles to form slowly enough, but to still keep the freshness and the fruit and the aromatics. So, okay. Great. Well, that's fascinating. Yeah.
And is a Prosecco, for example, even if for example, is interesting to is a wine that was so famous because it's easy to drink as aperitif, but in Italy, especially in summer, we love to have, for example, I love beer, but in summer I love even Prosecco, for example, for refreshing or for the first easy antipasti. You know, in Italy it's very common in our region to have Prosecco for a light lunch, because even if it is so fruity, it's not so at the moment, especially my Prosecco is not so, the residual sugar is not so high. I'd like to add only this. Brut, for example, is a spumante, a sparkling wine with less than 12. So mine, less than 12 grams per liter residual sugar. My Brut has 8. Extra dry must
so quite dry.
Sweeter than Brut. So extra dry has more than 12, less than 17 grams per liter. Yes. Brut.
So this wine is 8.
Yes, exactly.
8 grams.
Yes.
Okay. So that's about how much sugar you leave when you stop the first fermentation, basically. And that's how much sugar. If you stop the fermentation earlier, you leave more sugar in there and you get an extra dry style or a dry style. And if you stop it later, you have more alcohol but less sugar. That's right?
Yeah, exactly. Brut, the re-fermentation is a little bit longer, as you said. I'd like to add only that if we decide before if you want Brut or add extra dry, because we work with a little bit less sugar. When we start the fermentation, we use a little bit less sugar. We start with a wine maybe with according to which acidity the wine has, because the harvest as 2020, the acidity was not so high. So we work with not so high level of sugar, residual sugar, because, you know, there is a balance between acidity and residual sugar. So if the acidity was high enough, not too high, for example, we could work with less residual sugar. So we started with less sugar in the re-fermentation. But it's correct, as you said, Brut take more time in order, in fact, my Brut has a little bit more alcohol than an extra dry, because the fermentation is a little bit longer.
Wow. Let's go back a couple of, so just these vessels, are these the tanks that on the left here that you would are these the autoclaves that you'd secondary ferment, or are these the first ones, or what?
Yeah, correct. That is a horizontal autoclave where there is permitted to get this re-fermentation. We use even for the first fermentation, from the grape most to the still wine. you see there is like a shaker to move the yeast inside very slowly inside all the and we loved to work with horizontal to later Francois, you will see that the bottle in the champenoise are horizontal because the area, the basis is larger, and so the yeast, more yeast are in touch with more liquid. So even the autoclave horizontal are more expensive. It's harder to work for many reasons. We have anyway the shaker to move very slowly the yeast inside, but with horizontal autoclave is like a big bottle in the champenoise method.
A big bottle lying down.
Yeah, exactly. We can't move. The fermentation there, so we, once again, there, when we want to stop the fermentation, because we achieve the residual that we want, the pressure inside and so on, we stop decreasing, and we keep the wine between -2, 0. Even after we leave for 1 week, 10 days, we filter with a cross flow, so to get a cool stabilization. Getting a cool stabilization, so the wine is ready for the bottling, and even the bottling through isobaric or bottling line machine, we're bottling the wine at -2, 0 in order to be able to work.
To keep everything fresh and protected.
Otherwise, if the wine is even at 6, 7, 8 degrees, is not possible to bottle because the level inside the bottle is not the same. There is some charm, so it's important to get the wine very cool.
That's fantastic. So what are we drinking? So we've got ourselves a drink. So what are we drinking here, Paolo? We're drinking the Prosecco Brut. So and this is all from a single year, a single vintage.
Yes.
Prosecco in general is always from a single year, even if you don't label it as such. But it's because it's a fresh wine generally. Exactly. It mostly comes. Yes,
I suggest
you label this as a vintage.
When I chat to the angels, a wine like Prosecco should be drunk in 1 year to get the first very fruity bouquet. In front of us, you have on the left the Brut DOC. In the middle, the DOCG, the grapes you have seen around my winery. In this winery, I will build even a guest house, so I hope to receive some visitors from UK.
I think you'll have a lot of people interested in that, Paolo.
I hope we'll be ready in 1 year, not soon, because in Italy it's not easy to get everything ready. But, so in the middle is this Col de Lutia. Col means hill. The Lutia is the name of the bigger hill in front of the winery. So this one again is DOC. G means garantita from this smaller area, is UNESCO core area where we are. And on the right there is the new Prosecco product, Glera 88% in this case, with 12% Pinot Nero, Pinot Noir. So there is only with DOC appellation. As DOCG, there is no Pinot, no Prosecco Rosé, but only Prosecco White at the moment. Prosecco Rosé is new. The first vintage was last year. Was 19 permitted. 2019. And the fermentation must be, for the law, longer than Prosecco. So at least must be at least 2 months, 70 days. So at the end of the story is at least 30 days, 1 month longer than the normal white. Means that even it is a brut, longer fermentation you can notice in the smaller and more persistent bubbles, and in more very fruity, but the is more ripe fruit, is like a longer Charmat. So we have once again very fruity but very clean. Even if it is a pink color, sorry, Matt, is drier than you have in the middle, for example.
Oh yeah.
So
fantastic. And what? So it's a bit. It's sorry, it's drier than the extra dry. Yeah, but it's somewhere between extra dry and brut, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a. I mean, Prosecco Rosé was a product. It was a wine that everyone wanted for many years, wasn't it? But you could only make generic spumante out of rosé, and I think. Well, we just started with your rosé, and it's been a massive hit, and we're now out of stock. But I'm pleased to say we are going to be shipping a little bit more fairly soon. But it's been a roaring success as we expected. So I look forward to some more stock coming in, and our angels being able to get their hands on something. It's an amazing color. Your wines, I think, the interesting thing about Prosecco is it's become so popular. And so the brand is Prosecco, and people, it's become enormously popular. But the key thing is not all Proseccos are the same. You've seen some of the hillsides that Paolo's vineyards are on. It's hard land to work. Yeah. And the basic DOC Prosecco is on the flat land in around Veneto. It's much easier to machine harvest and things like that. And so there are lots of differences within the world of Prosecco, and the middle wine is organic certified, isn't it? And it must be hard to farm organically in Veneto, I would imagine. No, that's fantastic. Well, look, that's brilliant, Paolo. We'll come back to you for some questions, but I must press on in respect to the time to make sure we get to and talk to Francois. So thank you, Paolo. Oh, Francois, great to have you here as well. Tell us a bit about you and your family, where you're from, and specifically tell us a bit about the sparkling wine that you make.
Hey, Matt. I'm smiling as I'm reading the posts from the angels. It's fantastic. I've seen some of them are drinking the 1816 from their home, so that's
good.
Fantastic. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm drinking it too.
My brother Vincent may pop up and may come and say hello, but I don't know. Actually, we are harvesting. Not at the moment, but we have been harvesting today, and we have been starting harvesting on Monday, so that he may come at one moment so that I can introduce him, because
he's probably quite tired.
He's busy. I am the man behind the posts to the angels, and he's the man behind the wine, so that if he can come and
rolling up his sleeves,
that would be fantastic.
Wonderful. Yeah.
All right. On this picture, you got the whole family. So from the left to the right, on the left is my brother Vincent. He's our former winemaker, and he's in charge of the vineyards and of the winery, with my brother Pierre, which is on the right, and my mom Chantal is in charge of welcoming the customers, with my sister Mary, she cares about management, and I'm in charge of the clients. But at the moment, we are all working at the harvest, which is the time, very important time in the family, and
everyone gets involved.
Everyone gets involved, exactly. And this is a
good family business.
This is very important times for us, and I would like to say, Paolo, I'm sure you are starting harvest very soon, so that I hope it's going to be fine for you as well.
Yeah, good luck. Best of luck, Paolo, with that. Yeah, it's been tricky year, hasn't it? We won't go into too many details because we don't have the time. But if for all of our angels who maybe been following the posts and stuff, the weather has not been kind to a lot of vineyards across Europe in particular. And there were some spring frosts and other things, but I'm sure the quality is going to be fantastic
Exactly.
if the volume's a little bit down. So where are you guys, Francois?
Yeah, Matt, sometimes a good map says more than a lot of words, but I've tried to set a map of France, and maybe you can see your home from here. So you know France, you know where Paris is. We are located at the end of the Loire Valley, south of the Bretagne, close to the ocean, to the Atlantic Ocean. And the city, our capital city, is named Nantes. And the area, we are maybe more famous for our muscadet at Naked. We have two muscadet that are Voyage Extraordinaire and Generations. I've seen some of the angels that are both drinking 1816 and Generations. That's good.
That's good.
we are close to Nantes, so that I also know that some of your angels are traveling, so that if you have the chance to come in the region, you should pop in and say hello, and we're gonna welcome you. What's
wonderful? Yeah.
What's interesting with the situation is that we have a very nice climate for white wines and for sparklings. We're located in the north of France, so that we got a very cool climate. High rainfalls that makes a good acidity to the wines, and also we got nice summers, but cool summers with temperatures that are not too high, so that we are dedicated to white wines in general, still and sparklings, and so this is muscadet and also sparklings like 1816.
Quick question. Sorry to interrupt. Can you make sparkling muscadet, or is that not permitted?
No, it's not permitted. Muscadet is only
it's
a dry,
purely a still wine.
Yeah, is a dry still Loire white. That's very easy.
Okay, cool. So you are in the region of Muscadet. So if some of the angels perhaps have seen Crémant de Loire, that's not where you are, is it? That's more in sort of Vouvray area, that kind of area. Or...
Yeah, we got an appellation d'origine contrôlée, an AOP, which is the same as DOC for the Italian wines, Crémant de Loire. But in our region from Nantes, we can't produce Crémant de Loire. But that's basically, maybe we can say a word about the process then, but basically the process is the same, only the grapes are different. And just you know, for the angels who are maybe not familiar with this, but the geology has a high importance in the wines, and most of the region that are doing wine in France, such as Champagne or Burgundy or Bordeaux, these regions are located on rocks that are named limestones, you know, like silex and we are not at all. We are in a region, in a part of France that is made of volcanic rocks, such as granite. Can you get granite in English? Yes, sure. Granite.
Yeah, absolutely. We know granite. Yeah, absolutely. So volcanic old rock. Yes,
exactly. And these rocks, they bring a very nice freshness to the wine. A very nice. Sometimes we say minerality to the wine. And also because we are close to the ocean, sometimes you can feel some salty notes also in the wines.
Yeah, a lot of freshness. Fascinating.
Exactly.
So in the 1816. So why is it called 1816 for starters?
Don't you have a picture about this, Matt, somewhere? I would.
There we go. Right on cue.
He's the guy of the situation. This is the birth act from our ancestor. You can see on the left, he was named Joseph, Grégoire, Lieubeau. And this, if some of you have a, I know you're good at French, so that I can ask you, but on the first line, you can see l'an 1816. That means in year 1816. This child,
16,
on the 10th of May, on 12th, he has been abandoned at the City of Nantes Hospital, and because people from that time, they said, yeah, Jackie said, beautiful place, that's good. She got French. Lieubeau means a beautiful place, and people from that time, you know, it was just right after Waterloo, 1815, 1816. France was in a hard time, and many children have been abandoned during that period. And he was welcomed at the City of Nantes Hospital. He was given this name, Lieubeau, and then he has been placed in the winemaking family. So that we say that he has both founded our family and our winery. So that we are winemakers for 200 years now.
Wow, that's quite some heritage. I just worked out your surname, Lieubeau. It's yes, exactly right. The street where I grew up in London is Beaulieu. It's the other way, Bewley. Yeah, but anyway, don't worry about that.
So
yes,
1816 is the figure on the bottle. And it refers to this year where our family and where our winery was founded.
Fascinating. And the varieties, the grape varieties you're using in your sparkling production.
That's very important. You know, some sparklings are from Chardonnay, of course. Champagne is mainly from Chardonnay. Some Loire sparklings are from Chenin Blanc. We are 70% from Chardonnay and 30% from Fort Blanche. Just in a few words, I guess everyone knows what Chardonnay is. This is a variety that is worldwide famous, that is settled everywhere in the world, but it's perfect for sparkling. It brings a very nice you know, nut notes, creaminess, yellow fruits. It's very nice for sparklings. And our little difference is that we use a local variety that is named Fort Blanche, like Crazy White. Can you?
Yes, yeah, Fort Blanche.
Can you understand it, Matt? And this grape variety was used in the old past. Oh, can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, it went a bit funny before, but it's fine now.
The Fort Blanche was planted in the 17th century in the region of Nantes, and this is a variety that is very acidic, so that it's perfect for sparklings, and it brings a lot of freshness, a lot of elegance to the blend. So that.
So you're getting the creamy structure of the Chardonnay, and you're getting the freshness and the acidity from the Fort Blanche.
Exactly.
Is Fort Blanche? That's not the grape variety in Armagnac, is it? That they make Armagnac from?
You're right, Matt. It's and the British and the Dutch have been responsible for settling the Fort Blanche in the region, because it was basically it was a grape that was used for distillation, and it's said to be the king grape in Armagnac. So that it's a grape that is fantastic, that has been forgotten from the past. But with my family, we pay a high attention to our history and to where we come from, and so that we, instead of promoting some varieties that are everywhere, we pay a lot of attention to explore what our roots are. That is very important for us.
The historical varieties, the indigenous
Exactly.
varieties from the region. Oh, that's great. That's a unique point of difference for this wine, I think, isn't it? So this wine, here is a close-up of some bottles lying down. In contrast to Paolo, what Paolo was talking about, the Charmat method, making wine in a tank and then bottling it. Here we're talking about traditional method, aren't we? What they would call method champenoise in Champagne. So tell us just quickly a little bit about how the production, how long it takes, how it works.
Yeah, that's quite a long process, and let's try to make it a bit simple. But to make a wine in a grape, you got some water, some sugar, and some yeast. And basically, the yeast are going to transform the sugar into alcohol. This is the alcoholic fermentation. This is how we make a wine. And we make a still wine at the beginning from a blend of 70% Chardonnay and 30% Faux Blanche. And then we're going to bottle this wine, this still wine, in that kind of bottle you can see on the picture. We're going to add some extra yeast into the bottle and close it with that kind of beer cup. And the extra yeast are gonna make a second fermentation in the bottle. And as you may know, the fermentation provides some gas, and so that the gas will stay into the bottle, that will make the bubbles. Then the idea is basically to store these bottles in a very cool place. So our champagne is, I guess the minimum is 12 months, but most do 18 months. We do 18 months of aging of these bottles in our cellar, at our winery, and then comes a few operations that are specific to méthode traditionnelle, champagne or crémant, that are the reeling. Hey, I see Vincent in the room. Do you mind if I introduce Vincent? Or?
Please, we'd love to meet him. Yeah,
We'll come back to this. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Vincent. Have you been busy today?
This is Matt from Naked.
Okay. Good to see you.
Matt, we have Paolo in Prosecco country, and we have all of our angels, our customers, talking about sparkling wine. And
great.
And I gather you're in the middle of the vintage and very busy and probably quite tired.
Yes, exactly. We are just we started picking yesterday, and we are in the middle of the harvest, and it's like a very rush period for all the family and all the team, but it's very exciting.
So we're getting Francois out of doing some work for an hour.
Yes.
For his excuse.
We work as a family, and everyone is very important, so that it's a pleasure to be together on screen.
Yeah.
So
that's wonderful.
Just to okay, thank you, Vincent.
Bye everyone.
Nice to meet you, Vincent. Thank you.
So then we got a new step that is named reeling. Reeling is moving the bottle so that the yeast, that is the storage. Yeah, that is the way on the left. We did the reeling in the past. So we move the bottles so that the yeast they come to the bottom, to the neck of the bottle. Now we use these kinds of pellets on the right that are doing it automatically, but the idea is exactly the same.
So you're rotating the bottle gradually. The yeast is falling into the neck gradually, and the angels, the pallet on the right has got a gyro pallet, and every now and again they all spin without any warning, and it makes a really loud noise in the cellar, doesn't
yes.
it? And if you're not used to it, it makes you jump. Yeah.
And when the yeast has come to the neck of the bottle, that is bottom up, or the bottom is upstairs and the neck is downstairs. It goes through a cold bath, we say, so that the yeast get, and this ice we plug it out with a second operation that is named disgorging. Okay, maybe Matt, you can if my English is not so good, but you can.
Yeah, you effectively you freeze the cap, don't you? You freeze the neck of the bottle. So
exactly.
Once the yeast is in the bottom, you freeze it very cold. I don't know what you use, like frozen salt water or something, and
exactly.
yeah, and then you pop the cap off, and the pressure pushes the plug of dead yeast out of the neck, and then you quickly put a cork in, don't you?
Before putting the cork, we had
a bit of sugar,
a bit of base wine and a bit of sugar, so that the sparkling is going to be brut or dry or extra dry. And in our case, within the family, we do a brut, which is 8 to 10 grams of sugar into the sparkling.
So this is very similar to Paolo's wine. Paolo's brut Prosecco was 8 grams of sugar. This is about 8 grams of sugar as well, but very different. So it's fascinating to taste the two together. They're both about the same amount of sugar, but very different flavor profile because of the it's the grape varieties used and the length of time aging, whereas Paolo is going for freshness and fruitiness and aromatics. Here you're going for the more yeast, the fruit of the Chardonnay and the Fol Blanche acidity, but also the breadiness of a little bit of yeast over 18 months or something. And I think they do different things, don't they, the wines? Yeah.
That's perfectly right, Matt. And then we put the cork, and then we open the cork, and then we taste the wine, and that's it.
Well, it's delicious. It's I'm a convert. I think it's fantastic. Do you farm organically? Is that something you focused on as a company?
Yes, of course. My parents, they were the first farmers being organic being sustainable certified in 2001. And then when we joined with my brothers and my sisters, of course we decided to turn organic. So the 1816 is still what we name Terravitis, which is a certification for sustainable farming. But our cru from Muscadet are organic certified now.
Fantastic. Well, that's been really great to hear from you both. Very different styles, both fascinating, delicious sparkling wines. I think we should go for some questions because we've had plenty of questions from the angels. Well, I could talk to you all night and ask you questions about sparkling wine, but I'd love to open it out to some of the angels. So let's just go right from the top. Should the way you wash your fizz glass make a difference? So this is Paolo. You can take yourself off mute. I'll see who these questions are for. Maybe this one's for me. So should the way you wash your fizz glass, champagne glass or sparkling wine glass, make a difference? I notice at my partner's house that uses a dishwasher, the fizz is less fizzy. At home, I wash them by hand and there's more amount of fizz in the glass. I think that's right, isn't it? When you wash your...
It's very interesting what the question, because there is in the market, for example, some special glasses for fizzy wine that there is a sign on the bottom to break the bubble. So you have a constant perlage. So what it means that how you wash the glass, of course, depends which glass. The glasses that you have, and that I love to drink Prosecco in this glass as well. But here for sure the bubble is not so not easy to see like in
persistent.
the real flute or champagne glass. But to drink for the bouquet, I love to drink even Prosecco glass like this. But if I wash by hand with water and depending even how, correct, because you can leave something inside that can break the bubble. So you have different, you can see different. And remember, it's very important the glass form for this. A flute, you have persistent, you can catch the perlage, but to drink, to get the flower, I love a glass like yours or what I have here. The glass of Francois is the perfect for champagne or for sparkling wine because you have a persistent and stronger. Champenoise, the difference between champenoise and charmat, since champenoise, a wine in the champenoise fermentation is longer, even the bubbles inside are the pressure inside the bubbles are more persistent. In the Prosecco, the duration of the perlage is not like in the champagne for this reason. The time of the re-fermentation inside. So Prosecco fermentation, re-fermentation is much shorter than champagne. But
okay, so the bubbles are less persistent. Yeah. So because the bubbles come from small impurities or scratches on the inside of the glass.
Yeah,
correct?
We can say, I don't know, in my English is so bad, but the bubble we said is broken from some, for example, impurity or some something that is not perfect in the glass. So you can notice in some special sparkling wine glass, there is like a cross on the bottom of the glass, even to get
to make the bubbles.
So if you
that's interesting. I've never seen those glasses. That sounds interesting. And actually that's the sort of links in with Jeff's question. He says, why is sparkling wine served in flutes? Is it to preserve the bubbles? So yes, it is. But actually increasingly lots of people you can drink sparkling wine in bigger wine glasses. You lose the bubbles, don't you? But you get more of the aromatics, particularly with Prosecco, I should imagine.
But in the flute glass, is correct what you said. In the flute glass, maybe you cannot catch the right flower, but you have the flute glass form permitted a more persistent. You have like a persistent perlage coming out. So it's not something depending. So it could be interesting to taste the same sparkling wine, champagne or Prosecco, in two different glasses. You can have two different flowers sometimes. Seems even to have of course, if you use a Riedel glass is very famous from Austria, or Schott, or other special glass for wine. Could be interesting wine in one glass than another. You have two completely different tasting. But your glass, you taste a Prosecco in your glass, or in the Francois glass, so you have different
experience.
And even you see different bubble inside, different in your, as you said, seems to drink after a while is still wine and not so fizzy. In a flute, thanks to the glass form, you have more persistent.
Interesting. Very good. Okay. Paolo, you already produce great sparkling wines from Col de Lulitia. Why did you decide to start producing Prosecco as well? Were you making other sparkling wines before Prosecco, or no?
I have some, as I said, I have some frizzante, and I had yes, it's not more at naked. I had the Pinot Grigio blush sparkling. So the Pinot Grigio grape that we have even still wine, you know, as Janus or Blush as a
Yes.
But the Pinot Grigio is a grape not so aromatic, and but always in the Charmat. And Pinot Grigio Blush was cannibalized by Prosecco Rosé. So together with Naked team decided to work only with Prosecco, but Prosecco is my main product. That is why we started. I had even other, as you said before, Rosé, sparkling, always a Charmat, but because we work with Charmat. But when started with, they permitted to work with Prosecco Rosé. Prosecco Rosé is my core grape juice, so we decided to move to this.
Yeah, it has the most potential, I think, doesn't it? It's the use of Glera and Pinot Nero.
Yes.
We were talking about the next question's a bit about pressure again. You mentioned a minimum of 3 bars, Paolo. And somebody's asking what the highest pressure is does anyone know in sparkling wine, and you know what that is? What is that pressure? I think sparkling wines go much beyond about 6 bars, do they?
Even if for example, you have Col de Lutia, you have at Naked, you have even Frizzante of mine, and this one, for example, 2.5 bar, 2.7 bar. There is some country acts as yours that, for example, UK, there is, I don't know, as you can translate Frizzante, semi-sparkling, and even the law is interesting in the UK, the duty that is huge in the Adam Smith country.
Big difference.
You remember Adam Smith, okay? Adam Smith country, you have a duty huge, 2.6 plus VAT, and so Prosecco is expensive, but if you calculate that around more than £3 per bottle duty to pay, and you have special taxation, sparkling wine and still wine. Frizzante is inside the still wine, because in the UK, more you have the duty for a different duty, more than 3 bar, sparkling, this 2.6 or 7 pound, less still wine. Frizzante, sorry, is less than 3 bar, so is named as in the law with less duty as a still wine. So the pressure of the wine is calculated anyway for the law, again, at 20 Celsius degrees. So for sure, if the wine that we love Prosecco to be drunk very cold, when the wine is tasted at, I don't know, 4, is the bubble seems very not so fizzy. If you open a bottle of Prosecco at 20 or 25, you can find even higher pressure. So depending even the temperature when you taste the wine to get the right perlage.
That's interesting. Let's see. There's a big duty difference for sure in Frizzante and Spumante. I guess it comes down to the people thinking sparkling wine is a luxury and Frizzante is sort of not so much of a luxury. I don't know what it is. Lots of people asking about visiting you guys, both of you, I guess. I mean, when travel opens up again, when it's easier for our angels to travel, when they don't have to do a PCR test on the way home and things like that. You both have and Paolo, I think you mentioned it earlier, you're making a cellar door, so that's fantastic. And Francois, do you have somewhere that our angels can come to your cellar door and see where you produce your muscadet and your sparkling wine?
Of course we have, and I'm very we love the Naked community. I mean, that's a lot of fun to see all the comments and all people chatting about the wines. That's fantastic. I mean, and of course we have some places to welcome you all, and I know that some British are traveling again now, so you just have to cross the channel. We are south of Bretagne, so it's not a long drive on the way to Gascony or to Dordogne. So
yes, it's not far, is it?
no, it's
Yeah.
not. And Nantes is the home city of Jules Verne. This is a book writer, and Voyage Extraordinaire, our Muscadet, is dedicated to Jules Verne, so that you got some machines, some very nice places to see in the city of Nantes. So yeah, we are glad to welcome you around if you come.
Fantastic, fantastic. Somebody, again for Paolo here, somebody's asking about comparing Prosecco with Franciacorta. So, or in general, the differences of sparkling wines outside of the Prosecco region in Italy. I think Franciacorta is an interesting one, isn't it? Very different.
Franciacorta, for example, and very coming more famous is even Trento DOC, are champenoise with champenoise second fermentation method. So you can compare to Champagne, to Cava, to Francois sparkling wine. The fermentation is not the battle. So even different things is Asti from Piemonte. Asti from Piemonte is very sweet, is a Moscato starting from the must. So the fermentation is in an autoclave pressure type, but it's completely different. You start, since at the end you have a sparkling wine with low alcohol, you start from the must. You have a fermentation starting from the must arriving to sparkling wine, because you start with low juice alcohol. Franciacorta is not so far from us. So if we are close to Venice, Franciacorta is in Lombardia, between Milano, Bergamo, Brescia, Garda Lake, and the grapes are Chardonnay and Pinot Nero. Chardonnay, so more or less the same used for Champagne. Is not so famous out of Italy. 80% sold and drunk in Italy, because in other countries Champagne is much more famous, and but it's coming. Even Trento DOC is in Trento, is another region close to us, close to the Sud Tyrol. Alta Langa, Piemonte are all champenoise method, not autoclave.
Yeah. Okay, so method champenoise, traditional method, like Francois makes his wine, different to Prosecco, which is in the tank. Asti in the tank also, but from must with very high sugar content. You probably reach about 8 degrees of alcohol, 20 grams, 30, 40 grams of
100,
sugar.
100.
Yeah, 100, yeah. Good with birthday cake, yeah. Francois, you're not from Champagne, but why is Sarah's asking, why is Champagne so expensive, and what makes it good?
I love champagne myself. I drink a lot of champagne, but good. I would say there are a few major differences. The first difference is from the cost of the land. The cost of the land is amazing in Champagne. Just imagine that 1 hectare of Champagne can cost €1 million, which is not far from £1 million, which is a lot. So that's a
huge amount of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And then Champagne has its own history, has its own traditions, and it has been exported for centuries to the UK, of course, to Russia, to many places, so that it's worldwide famous. And what I like in all sparklings is that this is the drink of the celebration, and maybe Champagne is the best drink for celebration, and it's gonna stay the best drink for celebration.
Yeah, you feel special opening a bottle of champagne, for sure. Don't you? But it's the key thing, I think, there for everyone watching and listening, is the cost of production between your traditional method and a bottle of champagne is not necessarily any different. Maybe their yields are even higher, but the cost of the land usually governs the price of all of the great wines of the world, doesn't it? I mean, if you think of the great wines of Burgundy, for example, it's the cost of the land there. It's the cost of the land in Barolo, in Piemonte, it's those sorts of factors, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. Right, this is a good one. What food pairings do you suggest with your wines? Francois, do you want to go first? What do you like to eat with this, other than just drinking it on its own as an aperitif?
I like drinking it with my friends first. We usually celebrate with the sparklings, but we are in a region where we have a lot of seafood, especially oysters that are fantastic. And I think this sparkling has a very nice texture and freshness. And so that with the oysters, for example, is very, very easy to pair with a nice. Do you have oysters, raw oysters in the UK, like on the plate? And
we grow fantastic oysters in the UK. Yes, particularly around Kent, the bottom of Kent. When you come, I'll take you to Whitstable and we'll have oysters there. It's fantastic. But I agree that the oysters in Nantes are fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, we got very nice oysters from both Bretagne and the southern part of our region, which is Vendée or Marennes d'Oléron. These oysters are great because in our sparkling, in our 1816, you can feel in the end a little saltiness, and that
salty,
is a nice.
I was going to say, yeah. Fantastic. And how about you, Paolo? What do you like to, in terms of in terms of the Brut? Are there any foods that you think go really, really well with the Prosecco?
It's correct, because Brut can be easier, because extra dry is used at the end of a dinner, lunch, with some dessert. But the Brut you can start as a pre-dinner aperitif. Of course, very famous is Aperol Spritz, in our region.
Of course, yeah.
And but it's very common and was very famous at the end. If you go to Baccheri in Venice, a Bacchero is a typical pub in Venice, where you can have a small cicchetti. Cicchetti is a Venetian word to explain finger food with some, not tramezzini, but finger food typical from Venice. As is common, you can have only Prosecco with them. So small things, acciughe, bruschette, that they are our finger food. So that we have common even in our region as antipasti. So Prosecco Brut is perfect with them.
I think I've caused an oyster war on the chat by saying the oysters in Kent were very good, because now everyone's saying their oysters are really good or better. But
we always say in France that you better drink the wine with the food that comes from the same place. And usually there is something that happens. Of course, if you're on vacation, that happens a lot. But if you are at home, it still can happen. And for example, Sancerre is very nice with crottin de Chavignol, which is a goat cheese, And there are many examples like this that sounds together.
Yeah, it's where this is the thing about wine, isn't it? It comes from a place. The food goes with the wine. It's all carefully over years and years and years over history. Yeah. So we've done food pairing. I'm just looking down this questions list. Thank you for staying, everyone. And I'm determined to get down the majority of these questions if you're happy to just hang around. We've talked about regions outside Prosecco. So, Paolo, Laura is asking what the difference is between rosé and blush, or indeed Francois, if you want to these. But I think they're thinking about, you know, Prosecco rosé versus a blush spumante or a Pinot Grigio blush or something like that.
So Pinot Grigio blush, we got the
blush versus rosé.
Yeah, blush is we say no blush, ramato, copper. So the colors of the copper, because for example, Pinot Grigio grape, the dark skin of Pinot Grigio, leaving a couple of hours at the first fermentation to get, we have this maturation of the skin. We got even the color. The Pinot Grigio color, usually the real color is this ramato, this blush color. Otherwise, if you want to have Pinot Grigio white, we have to get a fermentation without. Prosecco Rosé is different because you blend a white variety like Glera, white skin, with a Pinot Nero that is a red grape. So we use only 12%. So that is different between the Rosé Pinot Grigio and the Prosecco Rosé. One is 100% Pinot Grigio color thanks to the skin in the first fermentation, the contact with, and the second is the blending with a red wine.
Yeah. So in the Prosecco Rosé, you're making red Pinot Nero and blending the red wine in with the white wine to create the rosé.
Yes.
It's not bleeding from the skin to make a pink.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Glera is a white skin grapes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. A question from Andy here, and it's a great question, and it's to both of you. What do you feel are the benefits, the main benefits for you as winemakers of working with naked wines in particular? Are there any benefits?
I can answer first, but as I told you, the first amazing thing with naked is that we can chat with the angels. That's you know, we sell our wines to 30 countries, and we sell a lot in the restaurants and everywhere, but still there's only one customer from the family with who you can speak with your customers. That's, I mean, we welcome many customers at the winery, at the tasting room. We can, but this is unique. You can feel what people think from our wines, and the angels, they are really contributive to naked. So that's to me, that I would say that's great. That is the most important thing for us. The relationship.
Fantastic to hear.
I completely agree. There is 3 points. The first is what Francois said. We are in touch with the angels, and so we are the immediately replies about how our wines, what the people think about, what they like, what they don't like, you know. So we can even think about how we can move in the past, because for us it's important to do what we love to drink, but it's important even to sell our juice. So, but the naked make something very interesting things that permit to us to sell wine that otherwise. Okay, Prosecco is a commodity. Prosecco is sold everywhere. You think in the UK, I don't know, is the first export market with 150 million bottles, stuff like that, 30% of the, so crazy. But if you try to sell something better, X work means maybe to ask, I don't know, 50, 30 cents more. if you ask a little bit more because you give a DOCG. So to sell DOCG organic, for me, it's much easier to sell a DOC, but to sell, so naked makes this possible because there is not a lot, I don't know, a lot of passage, a lot of steps, a lot of different markup. And the difference between, for example, DOCG and DOC at naked is nothing. If you go to in the restaurant in Berlin, you ask a bottle of my DOCG, maybe you have to pay 30 euros. And the DOC maybe, I don't know, 25 or something like that. But the difference, so you have a wine, a good Prosecco, I hope, that pay maybe, I don't know, a little bit more than the supermarket, but like a DOCG organic or different juice, for us as a winemaker, as a producer, is not easy to sell otherwise. So Angels,
because it's so commoditized,
is directly to the final consumer. You cross over all the different, step, and this way the gap between the different wine is not so huge from my point of view.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. It's been a success of Prosecco in particular, but a challenge to then sell a better product, isn't it, afterwards? And I suppose if you can communicate that directly with customers, it's easier to do. Somebody wants to know how, when you go into a wine shop, are there any tips to selecting a good bottle of sparkling wine? It's a difficult question, isn't it? But does either of you have a view on, if you go to a big wine shop and there's a big selection, you don't know the sparkling wines, how do you choose?
Usually
just
I
close
don't
your
try
eyes
to buy exactly. No, I try from my point. If I know that I try to move. I know some. Okay, it's my word. So I love, for example, even champagne. You can find a lot of champagne. Champagne is expensive because, from marketing point of view, France, champagne are the number one. So champagne brand, you buy this or you buy another. Prosecco, usually if I have to buy, I know some, but I try to avoid buying something cheaper. The first, something that is very, very cheap. So it's not easy. There are a lot of wines, good wines, sometimes better than others, and even cheaper. So it's important maybe to know. Now internet is a good help. So there is some naked as well. Naked has a lot of producer and not a lot of winemakers. So traveling, tasting to try, since there is no.
I mean, that's the answer.
You have to
that's
try.
the answer, isn't it? Don't go to a big shop, come to Naked.
Exactly.
And we'll tell
you have
you
to
which
go
good
to
sparklings.
Naked, make a good selection, because trust me,
we'll do that,
and
give
even the possibility to send a mixed box. So when you taste, maybe when you receive the mixed box from Naked, you can taste for sure. Not all you can, but you can start to appreciate some and another. You can start drinking maybe sparkling wine from France with a very good relationship, quality and price. The next step maybe is red wines, but the selection made by Naked is great from my point of view.
It's about experimenting, isn't it? And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I still ask for a lot of advice when I buy my wine. So particularly in restaurants, I recently got back from 3 days in Paris, and I always talking to the sommelier about which wines, and I like getting advice. Always, never be too proud to ask for advice and help, and to experiment with wines. I think that's the other thing. Yeah. Right, I'm all good. Let's see whether we've got any more here. Paolo again. Tina loves the Brut, but she prefers the Superiore. And so, can you tell her why that might be? What the difference is between the two wines?
The difference is on the basis of the juice. The juice, the origin of the grapes. The Superiore DOCG are from this area close, the photo that you showed before. So the area is the most vocated area. The production per hectare is much lower. So instead of Prosecco DOC now is 15,000, mine there is kilo per hectare. Mine there is 109,000 kilos, so very low.
And the yield of the wine, the grapes.
And after that, the fermentation, since the juice is, we can say, the basis of the wine is better. The fermentation, even we try to work with in the smaller autoclave, a little bit longer fermentation, so fermentation longer means with a little bit lower temperature. So the yeast that we use even different yeast, standard yeast that works, for example, at 15, yeast that work at 13, so a little bit lower temperature, and so we have a longer fermentation. So some small things, and at the end we have, but Matt, at the end is the juice, the basis.
Yeah.
The wine.
So more concentrated, lower yield juice, different vineyard, and there is a different sugar level in there as well, residual sugar level in there as well. So maybe it's the fruit and sugar balance as well that she's picking up on there. Cool. I think we're just about done in terms of questions. Well, there are a few more, but I don't want to. We can't be here on quite all night. Francois, I'm just looking in the chat here. Francois asked if there was granite stone in the UK. Aberdeen apparently is the granite city. All of the original houses are built on granite in Aberdeen. So there you go, Francois. So and someone's come in with Plymouth as well, but we're not going to go through all of the cities in the UK that built out of granite. Somebody else is asking if Naked will make it sell any more sparkling red wines. You two are probably not the people to ask about sparkling red wines. I don't think they make sparkling reds in the Loire, do they, Francois?
No,
do they make?
We don't.
No.
We do a sparkling rosé, but not a sparkling red.
And the sparkling rosés, is that made from Cabernet Franc or from something different?
From Pinot Noir.
From Pinot, yeah, from Pinot, yeah. Okay, so there you go. Sparkling reds, kind of no plans, I would say, speaking as the buyer, but of course we'll look at it. We recently sent out an invitation to all of you angels to say, what should Ray and I go and buy when we can get back on an aeroplane? So we've gone through all of that feedback. We have a couple of sparkling red wines in the portfolio, but they tend to come from warmer regions than the Veneto or from the Loire for sure. But we keep our eyes to the we keep our eyes on the sparkling red phenomenon, and they can make some really good wines. Yeah, the Simpsons do a sparkling red, and we also do one from Australia. So that's that. So I think we're all about out of time. It's been fantastic to have you both join us to talk sparkling wine. I've loved both the wines. We're thrilled to have you as Naked winemakers. And I think everyone's found the chat really, really interesting tonight. So thank you both for giving up your time in the middle of vintage to talk to us. It's been great. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, sorry, Paolo, but thank you, Matt, for doing the job with the angels. It was fantastic, and also, thank you, Paolo, because I learned a lot about Prosecco, and that's I was one of your angels tonight, Paolo.
Francois, next time I have to come and visit you, okay? Because I love France. I love everything,
Yeah.
and the wine, French wine is great. I have to learn a lot.
You're very welcome.
I hope.
You can swap wine, send each other some wine. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you,
Thanks
Angels,
a lot,
for
man,
joining.
for your help. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
Angels.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.